All right, guys. I think we're live. I think we are. I think we're good to go here. I don't actually know if this is public or private on the YouTube channel right now, so let me just quickly pop over and see. But Tyson, what's going on, bro?
What
How
kind
you
of
doing,
professionals are we here, man? We don't even know what we're doing now. Come on, man.
bro? So the thing is with StreamYard, and I feel like we talk about this like every couple of weeks. The thing with StreamYard is that you can set all the modifications in StreamYard itself, but if you flip over to YouTube, there could be an issue on that end,
Yep.
whether it's like
Yeah.
public or it's unlisted or something like that. So you could be streaming this entire time and it's not like it's technically streaming, but
Right.
not streaming to anybody publicly. But there is 6 people in the chat, so I hope that this is public. But dude, what's going on, man? This is obviously a massive freaking week for Jets football. Chas, what's up, man? Don, what's good? Dane, what's going on, bro? All right, so I guess
first of all, dude, I gotta apologize because Tuesday we do shows Tuesday 7:00, and in New Jersey, man, the weather has been absolutely insane. We're getting like torrential thunderstorms, hurricanes, tornadoes, all kinds of stuff. So I lost power. I didn't have power on Tuesday. So and then tonight we have another one. It's just like, you gotta be kidding me. So I apologize for Tuesdays. For anybody that's listening or watching, Tuesday 7:00 is our normal time, but this week was completely my fault because New Jersey is now Seattle. So, but it is.
Well, not. I mean, bro, we had a storm down in like off the west coast of Florida. Thankfully, it didn't like plow right into the west coast.
Yeah, it's
I think it went to North Florida. It was like Tropical Storm Debbie or something like that. But dude, glad you're doing well. And thankfully nothing. My buddy actually had some flooding over at his place. Whole bathroom got flooded, because of the storm. So thankfully you're okay, man.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited, man. You had the joint practice with the Commanders. You have a game tomorrow. So there's a lot of things to talk about. You have the whole, the Haason Reddick thing, the Aaron Rodgers not playing. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the practice yesterday and how they did? You want to start there?
Yeah, let's start with joint practices, man. I mean, of course, if you want to nitpick, there are some annoying things that are happening right now. Some negatives, the Reddick situation, the Michael Carter injury, smaller stuff like that. I mean, I guess maybe the Reddick thing isn't that small, but bro, honestly, man, like the Jets, this has been one of the best training camps that I could remember in such a long time. Like so much positivity. It seems like the offense is really clicking. There's just a lot of cool stuff happening, man. The defense looks top notch. We have guys, that are either growing as players or like, taking massive steps in the right direction, whether it's a Will McDonald, a Jamie and Sherwood. We'll go through all the players, but Alan Lazard, another big name. UDFA stepping up, Eric Watts, McGregor, like, bro, there's so much positivity right now. And, I'm just hoping we get through, this game tomorrow, just injury free. Right. But yeah, dude, focusing on the joint practice from what we all heard, I don't know if you went to it, but from what we all heard, the Jets pretty much dominated.
Well, I mean, to me, it starts with the quarterback position where not playing Aaron Rodgers made a lot of sense, man. The field was completely drenched, soaked up. It's like, being conservative with Aaron Rodgers was cool. To me, the biggest difference between this team and last year's team and the years before is Tyrod Taylor. You have a high-level backup quarterback that is effectively running the offense where everybody can maximize their potential. In years past, whether it's Zach Wilson or Tim Boyle or whatever clowns we had back there, you weren't getting the maximum potential. But now it's like Aaron's out. There's not an enormous drop-off. Tyrod's running the offense. You saw Garrett Wilson take off, all these things. That's a big difference, dude. And I think it's going to go a long way for this team because if Rodgers does get banged up and misses a game, God forbid, you feel a lot more comfortable. So to me, that's my first takeaway because you're seeing all the Garrett Wilson highlights, which are great. Somebody's throwing the ball, right? And that to me is really exciting.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I mean, I feel like really throughout the course of Tyrod's career starting in Buffalo, not obviously going back to Baltimore, but people have just always labeled him as like a game manager in like a negative way. But, I'm looking at the squad last year thinking to myself, if we had a game manager, like a legit game manager a year ago, somebody that doesn't turn the ball over, doesn't put the ball in harm's way, somebody who can just distribute, right, be the point guard of the offense, we would have been a playoff team, bro. Like, yeah, we had other problems with Hackett and Saleh and the O-line and injuries, but dude, like, I truly believe, and by the way, Tyrod does have a track record of getting banged up really throughout the course of his career as well. So I don't want to just assume that he would have stayed healthy for the entire, whatever it is, 17-game season. But, put Tyrod on the 2023 Jets, we're a playoff team. Yeah. Now you factor in Morgan Moses. You factor in, another first round pick in Olu. You factor in Tyron Smith and all the new talent, the Corleys of the world, guys like that. Again, guys growing. I mean, dude, I really, really, really like our chances. Let me knock on wood, but I mean, truthfully, bro, like from a talent perspective and a depth perspective, I thought we got a lot better this offseason.
And that's the thing. It's like right now, it's like I understand Tyrod's injury history, completely understand it. But right now, with Rodgers not in, you're still getting quality reps. These guys are still running the offense. You see Corley, you see all these guys getting fluid in the offense. And that's a huge thing. I think the second biggest story after that is you have 5 offensive linemen, the starters all playing. They're all healthy and they're all playing. That's huge, dude. The last couple of years, we didn't even have that. And you're wondering about Tyron Smith. You have Morgan Moses coming off an injury, AVT coming off an injury. They're in camp, they're practicing, and they're practicing together. So like we have concerns about communication issues, learning the offense, dealing with each other, dealing with the cadences, everything else. Having them all practicing, it's all good news. It's finally like coming together slowly but surely. And you see that they're making a difference. They say, when they're all on there together, the run game was great, pass protection is good. Like, and then they're also excellent mentors. Like Carter Warren and Olu can watch them and learn like real time on the fly. Like that's how it gets done right there. That's one of the best in the game, best to ever do it possibly with Smith, right? So it's all good things, man, in terms of leadership, developing your offense, and then moving forward with it.
Yeah, I mean, the first point to kind of build off of that is I feel like we haven't really had that specifically on the O-line.
Nope.
I mean, I guess you can maybe make the argument last year, like Tippmann to McGovern, but I don't want to compare Connor McGovern's career to a Tyron Smith or Morgan Moses, right? Two guys that have been at times elite. In the case of Tyron Smith, a lot of the majority of his career has been an elite pass protector. I literally, I want to say since his rookie year, whatever that was back in like 04, 05, 06, whenever when he was coming out of USC. So, for a guy in Olu Fashanu to watch somebody like that, it's freaking massive. So we're like winning on the field with our ones, right? Just having a guy in Tyron Smith out there. Of course, he's an upgrade over what we had a year ago, but then, the trickle down effect, now all of a sudden our bench guys, our depth guys are getting better as well because of the starters performing well. So, I don't want to keep bringing up injuries here because that obviously throws a wrench into everything. So hopefully Tyron Smith stays healthy with the majority of these guys. But, if we can escape training camp and the offseason program and all these preseason games like unscathed through or, from injury, and we can roll out this starting 5 with Aaron Rodgers, with Brees, with Garrett, dude, like I love her. Like, I think we could stack up with literally the entire NFL. I mean, we pushed the Chiefs to the brink last year with Zach and calls going against us and whatnot. Like we beat Philly, we beat Buffalo. I seriously go ahead.
No, it's all coming together. So you figure you have a very good backup quarterback that, listen, we understand injuries. I'm not talking about what we have right now. Right now he's healthy and he's playing very well. So you had the backup quarterback playing well. Rodgers is Rodgers. The offensive line we feel comfortable about. And then news that had me doing cartwheels down the friggin' street is Mike Williams was activated off the PUP. So, Ian, we were talking about this the entire offseason. Is Tyron Smith going to be healthy? When's Morgan Moses going to be back? Is AVT going to be good? All that is good. Mike Williams back ahead of schedule. Now, he's not going to be playing tomorrow. They're going to take your time with him, but he's got a month. He's got plenty of time to play. That's great news because now it's like you can see him start getting chemistry at Rodgers, start learning the offense, learn the route tree, learn all these things, get the communication down. That's like it's all like you're all slowly coming together where you're getting more and more confidence, where your little red flags we'll talk about later are kind of going away right now. We're like, just stay healthy. But now it's progress. And he can help Garrett Wilson. He can help all the young receivers, Corley and Gibson and everybody else.
For sure, dude. Yeah, and Jet super fan, bro. I appreciate that. That means a lot. And by the way, we're gonna be doing the show weekly. We normally do it on Tuesdays. I don't know if you were in the chat before, but we had some power issues because of the storm. But yeah, dude, it's all good. It's all good. And that kind of, I mean, tonight's Friday night, so there's obviously a million things going on Friday night. So for everybody hanging out, over 100 people in here, means the world that you're chilling. I mean, we got a huge game tomorrow. Obviously, coming off a fantastic practice yesterday. I guess we could dive into that practice. Again, from an offensive perspective, from a defensive and even special teams, it really just seemed like the Jets were, one step. We were just better across the board. Not to be rude or blunt, but the Jets are just according to this one practice, they were a much better football team than the Washington Commanders. From what I heard, it seemed like Washington was overwhelmed. The offense was clunky. There were moments where Washington supposedly had some success when the starters came out for the Jets, like Moses and Tyron Smith. But for the most part, the defense were teeing off on Washington's offense. And you walk away from the day again, pumped that nobody got hurt, pumped that there were no fights. But you're in the back of your mind as a Jet fan, you're like, dude, to go out there and just dominate a team from start to finish, up and down the field on all three phases of the game, that's a good feeling, man.
That should be expected. Like, that's what we should expect. Like, if we're going to talk about the Jets being one of the top teams in the AFC, making a run at the AFC East, winning 11 games, winning 12 games, the Commanders are rebuilding, man. Young quarterback, coach, everything else. They're trying to figure things out. This is where the Jets should flex their muscles. They really should. Like, and year 2 of the offense, too, where it's like, last year they were learning Hackett, Rodgers, the offense, all this other stuff, newness. Year 2, a lot of that's going away. And now the communication. And now you have chances for guys like Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, even Lazard's playing well, but you see them all now we're more comfortable. Now it's like, we got to start doing this. Flex your muscles. You see the same thing next week against the Panthers. Giants, a little bit better, but this is like, our standards are higher now, man. Like, you love seeing it. Sometimes it doesn't translate, but this is exactly what you want to see. Offensively, great. Defensively, it's like the Reddick thing we'll talk about later, but seeing Will McDonald play well, that's a good thing. Like, all these young guys emerging, Jamin Sherwood playing well. It's all encouraging things where it's like, these are all building blocks. All right, we're making progress. Play better next week. Play with the Giants. And then get ready for a huge matchup week 1 against the 49ers. So it's encouraging. It's inspiring. But, like, I expect it, man. Like, this is where we're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, and also not to get too far ahead of myself. We're not even at the first. Well, I mean, I guess we're at the preseason week 1 eve, if you will. But San Francisco, man, they're in the headlines. There's a lot of stuff going on with them with the McCaffrey injury. They just signed Robbie Anderson. What's going on with Brandon Ayuk? I mean, it's such a big talking point every single day. Shanahan has to answer questions about it. So, maybe it's a good time to catch San Francisco right out of the gate. If they have all these questions, and I don't want to say everything is a distraction, but dude, focusing on, I guess we could just, hop right into tomorrow's game. I mean, I don't want to be blunt about the practice, but we smacked Washington from start to finish.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, like, tomorrow, you're not going to see a lot of the stars, but that's my first question for you, because Saleh has this stance. I mean, this could change tomorrow. This is getting filmed on Friday night, where the starters aren't really playing. Rodgers isn't playing. He's got kind of like a foregone conclusion. Like, you know what? I don't treat it this way. Maybe the third game. And then you see the reports coming out all throughout the NFL. Eagles are playing their starters tonight. Bills are playing their starters. Chiefs are playing their starters. So it's like, you know what? I get it. I understand that you don't want to get guys hurt. My early concern, not saying it's a problem, is that Rodgers hasn't played in a year. He hasn't played this offensive line, and you got to worry about, you hear about the cadence all the time. The cadence is hard to learn. The best way to learn that cadence is in game action, especially if he's not going to be in the joint practice. So this week, all right, don't play this week. I wouldn't mind if you played next week, man, a series or 2. Behind the offensive line, couple series, get in, get out, just get that flow going a little bit, because you kind of like, you're playing one of the best teams in the NFL week 1. You can't have hiccups, man. You got to kind of be, you're not going to be your best week 1, but you got to be really prepared for it. And not playing at all in the preseason, to me, is kind of bothersome. Now, the offensive line could play with Tyrod Taylor. That's fine. Still a little different, though. Like, you don't have any concerns about Rodgers not playing at all in the preseason?
This week, I'm fine with it, to be honest with you. Especially if there's a chance that tomorrow could be rainy and just bad weather. But next week against Carolina, a team I don't really feel like is going to be that much of a much. I really don't feel like Carolina is going to pose that much of a pass rushing threat. Buffalo Jet fan, what's up, bro? You don't have to send in freaking money, dude. What are you doing, bro? Yeah. But thank you so much, bro. I appreciate it. Yeah, this to me, we were talking about it at the start of the stream, man. This definitely feels like our year. We could literally stack up against anybody.
But, like, to me, it's just like having him go out there for a couple series against the Panthers, just get out on the field, throw a screen pass, run the ball a little bit, get the offensive line out there. I mean, listen, you can't hide everybody for the entire month of August. Like, all right, go play week 1 against one of the best teams of football and hope that everything goes right. Now, the joint practices help a little bit, but my concern is Rodgers getting in the flow with everybody.
I think that's totally fair. I mean, on one hand, you have the whole saying, which is like, you can't play scared. You can't coach
Mm-mm.
scared.
It's football.
This goes into every sport out there. Like if I'm sure if you played football or played whatever it was, baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever it was, like if and it's true too, like if you think you're gonna get hurt, or if you're like trying to duck people, or like you're trying not to get hurt, that's like where I feel like you're at your most vulnerable for some reason. It's this weird Chaz, bro. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Really, really do, man. But yeah, I mean, I think from a playing standpoint, you can't play hurt
Mm-mm.
or play scared to get hurt. And from a coaching standpoint, you can't do that either. So you have that argument on one hand, because like you have the backlash from the media. The media is already on the Jets' back. If Rodgers does go out there and play against Washington, Carolina, and he does just so happen to get hurt, the media is going to absolutely
Yeah,
destroy
but you have
Saleh. And
Mahomes playing, dude. You have Josh Allen playing. You have Jalen Hurts playing.
but none of those guys have injury concerns. None of those guys have
But he
missed.
doesn't. The concerns, the injury's gone, dude. He was ready to play the end of last year's practice. He's been practicing the entire offseason. There's not a lot of. It's a month away. To me, I'm not like panicking about it. I'm just saying it's a little thing where it's like, get him out there. 2 series, 3, just get him something. And I understand they're not 40 and all. Listen, I get it, but he's still gonna be week 1 against the 49ers. He's gonna be 40, and the heat's gonna be at him. So you don't want to see communication issues. You don't want to see like different things. I don't know, man. You just interesting. He could play against the Giants a couple series, which is fine. You just want to see him out there. It was unfortunate he didn't play yesterday because of the rain, but hopefully he plays, against the Panthers. But it's gonna be interesting, man. It's an interesting approach by Saleh. Pretty much everybody in NFL is doing something else.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: if Rodgers doesn't play this week, next week, and the week after, and he's skipping all the joint, every single joint practice, then I'm with you. Then it's like, okay, at some point, like Rodgers isn't made out of glass. Like he has to go out and actually play.
He's gonna get hit.
Because if that's the case, we can't use the excuse. Excuse me, the first month of the season, talking about, oh, we're rusty, or we're just trying to get into the swing of things. No, you had your time to do that and you chose not to. So then I could kind of see that, but I don't want to overreact too much over this week. Because again, Allen, Hurts, whatever, these guys, they don't have injury concerns. They aren't up there in age. And you also kind of feel like too with the national media, and keep in mind, right, the Jets care so deeply about how the media portrays them,
100%.
care big time. So, you kind of feel like, all right, well, Pat Mahomes gets hurt tonight, tomorrow, whenever that game is, or whatever, Caleb Williams. It's like all the talking points on TV, all the ideas are going to be, oh, should starters play? Should they not? This and that. But if it was Rodgers, it was the Jets are a clown show. What are they doing?
You can't. You can't coach your team based on media reactions or fan reactions. You can't really care about that. You do what's best.
Well, I don't. I'm just saying
from the Jets, because especially with you look at just for example, I see all the comments. Listen, I'm not like saying either way. But the other thing too is like, look at what's going on with Tippmann right now. Tippmann's been struggling with his snaps in practice. So like, you know what? Rodgers didn't play in the joint practice. You know what? You'd like to see Tippmann work with Rodgers in a joint practice to start seeing, okay, listen, what your own defense does against you. Have somebody else in front of you and wants to take your head off. And how does Tippmann respond to that with Rodgers and his cadence? These are things you work out in the preseason and the training camp, not week 1. Like that's to me, like I want to come out firing on all cylinders week 1. What's the best way to do that? So, get the offensive line gelling, figure it out, a lot of things, because it's a different element when like the bright lights go on. So listen, we'll see what happens. It's not a huge story, but it's interesting to see how they approach it. Like I kind of get the feeling he plays against the Giants, though. I do. I just had this feeling that they're going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I also think too, it's important to just talk to the veterans, because in 2 weeks, right, when we're having our joint practice, or maybe the night before that joint practice against New York, you could talk to Rodgers and say, hey man, like, how do you feel this first team offense is coming along? And he thinks like, hey, you know what, we're in a great place. Everything is seamless. We're doing a great job getting the football out, getting the plays in, line up, the snaps, whatever it may be. We are healthy. Then, I mean, it's kind of the same situation with Tyron Smith. Asking him like, "Hey, how do you want to practice? How do you want to go about this process here?" So, Rodgers, thankfully he's been in the system for years on end. Thankfully, he's going to be a future first ballot Hall of Famer. I would like to see, or maybe inquire his, on his opinion, see how he feels. but because he's going to be honest. That's the one thing that we do know about Rodgers. If he says, "No, man, we suck. We need the reps," then if you're Saleh, how could you bubble wrap the guy then?
Yeah, you
If
can.
he's literally telling you, "Hey, man, I'm going to need 3 series. I'm going to need, I got to play till halftime." You can't pull him early. But by the way, just to go back to what I was saying before, I wasn't saying that I would necessarily do that. I'm saying, caring about the media. I'm saying that's how the Jets internally feel.
Yeah.
Saleh, dude, that thought has crossed Saleh's mind. Like in his head, he's weighing it. If he does get hurt, how's the media going to react? So I'm not necessarily again saying I agree with that approach. I'm just saying that does seem to be a fact at this point in time, how they view it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then you look at, we saw a lot of questions in the chat saying like, what are some battles you're looking for? Like, who do you want to see shine tomorrow? And like on offense, there's some really good competition tomorrow where you want to see the young receivers. A lot of guys are fighting for spots there. The young running backs, how do they function? Even like Izzy, like all these guys are fighting for roster spots, fighting for playing time. The tight end group, what's going to go on there? Like there's a lot of young players fighting for spots. So once the starters, whoever, first, second string come out, there's a lot of guys to keep an eye on offense. And even the backup linemen, Carter Warren, Olu, there's a lot of guys to watch, see where they at right now in their first game of this year, or the first preseason game. So it's going to be really fascinating to see.
Yeah, dude. And like like you talked about some of the backup offensive linemen, Sneakers, what's up, bro? Thank you so much. Dynamic duo right here. Thoughts on AVT with his Achilles. Aaron Rodgers getting all the attention, but I'm nervous about Vera Tucker's. Yeah, dude, that's a really, really good point, man. It's underrated because, AVT obviously missed the whole year previously with the torn tricep. And that's, I don't want to downplay his rehab process, right? Big injury, of course, but it's not as maybe impactful as the Achilles. Mm-hmm. So I think to maybe like the average fan of football, you see, okay, AVT's missed the 2 back-to-back years. Back-to-back season-ending injuries. He's done it once. He can do it again. But I think you make a good point. We do have to kind of look into that and make sure he's good to go, especially with all these games that are going to be played on the MetLife turf.
But I think it's encouraging. He's already practicing, man. He's practicing in the flow. And even a day like yesterday, raining field, the guys that they're kind of concerned about, they wouldn't be practicing. So to see all these guys out there, even Tyron Smith at a couple of rest days, it's a good point, though. This is a huge year for AVT, man. It's a contract year for him. He's playing for new contracts. You're going to get his best effort. And he wants to redeem himself, too, where it's like now it's like everybody loves a talent. Pro Bowl guard, Pro Bowl this, all that. Now he's got to prove it, right? So I think he's more than motivated. He's always in great shape, great guy. We're all rooting for him. But, that's a guy it's a massive year for him.
And also, too, another thing, it's like he's finally going into a season where he's just going to be guard, and that's it. Like, we have tackle options on the right side, on the left side.
Yep.
We have guys, we have, again, talent and depth. Those are the 2 key words here of the offseason, which I thought the Jets did a great job in.
Yes, sir.
Addressing positions of need, tackle, bringing in Mike Williams, again, bringing in a backup quarterback. But, dude, I forgot actually what we were talking about before this question was asked. I think we passed the Aaron Rodgers.
Just the young players, like the guys, like, the young tight ends, running back. Because there's a lot of these. The rookies are going to get plenty of time. But the tight end group, like, Ruckert's out there. But after Ruckert, who's behind him? You have Boa, you have Kuntz, all these guys. What's Izzy going to do? Like, now, it's great to flash in practice when you're wearing T-shirt and shorts against your own team. But now it's like the bright lights are on. Everybody's watching your film. How are you going to produce with your career on the line or your spot in the roster on the line? Are you going to shine or you're not? Corley is slowly coming on. I'd give him plenty of reps, man, to just get him used to the speed of the NFL, the physicality, and the offense. You know what I mean? So these are great opportunities for all these guys.
And also, too, another point, what I was going to say before was, if you just look at like personnel versus personnel, you brought up the tackles before, Olu, Carter Warren, Max Mitchell, even, specifically these backup tackles that need solid, valuable reps. This is a fantastic game to do it because you look at Washington's edge rusher position, like you can make an argument that their starters are backups on other teams.
Yeah.
On not every single team, right? Yep. Not, every single case, but it's pretty thin, right? The Commanders have had an issue. They've had issues in the past with rushing the passer. They can't really do it that effectively off the edge. So, I would not be surprised if tomorrow at this time, we're talking about, oh man, Olu had a dominant day. Max Mitchell looked freaking fantastic. Quarterback was back there. Nobody was even near him, right? Because there's just no pass rush. Plus, our offensive linemen have, done a really, really good job up to this point.
Yeah,
So,
but would you think, like something we talked about earlier, last couple shows, is the Jets' approach to their offense in general is it could be a ground and pound approach where like they're going to wear you out with the running game, physical, tough football, open up the play action pass and let Aaron Rodgers flourish that way. If that's the case, tomorrow could be a run heavy thing where it's like, you know what, we're going to flex our muscle. We're going to run the friggin' football over and over and over, see if you can stop it, to get these young running backs involved, to get these linemen, to get that physical, establish that tone for this team for the preseason. Do you see that, or do you see them passing the ball a lot?
see, I'm thinking, I mean, I guess it really comes down to like how many starters are playing for Washington, and
I'd run the ball. I wouldn't care, dude. I wouldn't even care. I'd pound them anyway. I'd just establish that tone, like get this running game going, see what these backs can do, throw the ball in the backfield, get them, because like you figure it's like behind Brees, there's not a lot of experience, man. So let them catch the ball in the backfield. Let them get really comfortable.
See, I guess I'm kind of focusing so much on like the first couple of drives.
Mhm.
I mean, I think maybe early on I'd probably throw the football a lot. To me, there's really no need to be giving Brees Hall the football. But to me, like what you're describing is like that's what the second quarter's for. That's what the
100%.
third quarter and the fourth quarter. That's when we can really start,
Yep.
Getting to the ground game. Unless we're down by like 40 points, but highly, highly doubt, something like that would happen. But dude, JAT, bro, thank you so much. Thoughts on people continuing to doubt Rodgers? Personally, I don't really have an issue with it. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. If you don't think Rodgers is going to be good, that's cool. I'm not really too bothered by it because, I have my other opinions about quarterbacks in football, guys that I think are overrated, guys that I think are underrated, guys that maybe I like that other people don't. And then guys that, are maybe really popular that I think are just, I don't really like them so much. So I really don't have an issue.
I think it's great. I think because the more they down, the more it inspires him. He is fueled. Like he's already coming back from an ACL at 40 years old, so he's already more than motivated. Everybody discounting him and putting him down and writing him off. Like you see all these top 10 lists, he's not in it. Like, dude, it's just fuel to the fire, man. And it's gonna be like the revenge tour. I think it's great, and it's like he's a lightning rod because of a lot of his off the field stuff. You don't like him for whatever it is. So it's like he's always been like this. He's kind of like he triggers people for whatever reason. But I think it's great, dude. Keep doubting the Jets, keep doubting Rodgers, keep pissing him off, and let them keep proving everybody wrong.
Dude, yeah. Hopefully he comes into that season with a lot of fire, which I think he does. I think he will hit that, especially too because San Francisco was that team that passed on him. The iconic draft slide, whatever it was. Alex Smith going first overall. Him growing up as a Niner fan. If this is in fact like his last season, it'd be a cool way to start the season. Like in his mind, like man, I'm gonna show up, arguably the best team in football, in their house on prime time after just missing an entire year at 40 years old. Like that's freaking sick.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. And the next comment, first of all, thank you, Mercy Fate. Jets fan 668. This is the best team since Rex era. I agree. This team is loaded, man. And it's so funny when people try to discount the Jets. You look at the talent on both sides of the ball. We say to Reek, they have elite game-breaking talent on both sides of the ball, especially when Reddick gets back or gets here, whenever that is. But they're loaded, dude. They have depth, they have talent. Now it comes down to just staying healthy and some coaching, and they should have a monster season.
100%, man. Yeah, Mercy, bro. Thank you so much. That's crazy, right? Fan since 68.
Yeah.
So you saw the Super Bowl. And I think, whenever you're talking to fans of, whether it's the Jets, whether it's any other team, it could be in basketball, baseball, whatever, whenever you're talking to fans that are, that have been following and watching a team for 50 plus years, like their opinions, they hold weight. Right. Yeah. Like they know what they're talking about. They've seen so much football, the good, the bad. And dude, for you to say that, best team since the Rex era, which is what, 10 plus years, from that point, like, I trust you, man. I'm right there with you.
I agree.
Stiggers over Reed. What are you thinking? Not this season, but next year, potentially. I don't want to just, plug that in, but I think maybe in the back of Saleh and Ulbricht's mind, Joe Douglas's mind too, if Reed's on an expiring deal, still no extension talks have been talked about, have been brought up. Pretty confusing. I guess you can make the argument, how much money does Douglas really want to invest in the corner position? Because you would assume that Carter gets, he becomes the top 5 highest paid slot corner, which is like around 10, 11, 12 mil. And then Gardner's going to be, the highest paid corner in football. Do you really want to hand out another big multi-year deal? I think that's maybe where Douglas is maybe he draws a line there.
Yeah, I agree. It's an unfortunate too, because Reed's earned it for sure. But it's just like you said, you can't spend all that money in the corners position when you got to take care of Conklin and everybody else. It's a lot of 1-year contracts or expiring contracts on this team right now, man.
Yep. Let's see, best roster. Wait till Reddick finally signs with us, and then we get Davante Adams for week 10. Dude, we'll see. I think the Jets are going to be active at the trade deadline. The biggest thing, the X factor that I keep harping on all off season is starting fast, bro. Like if we start fast and we're freaking 6-2 or whatever it is, 7-2 by the trade deadline, we're going to be cashing it. Like I really do not mind, flipping a first round pick to go get whoever it may be, T. Higgins, Ayuk, whatever, like any one of these guys. Maybe, maybe somebody gets hurt with an injury, right? A big piece. Now you kind of have the leash from ownership to say, hey, you know what, we're a win now football team. Let's go get that top 10 safety. That top, I don't want to say edge rusher because we're currently dealing with that Reddick situation, but Davante Adams is probably the biggest name. It just kind of feels inevitable, but I guess at the same time, so did Bakhtiari. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and we could touch on the Reddick thing a little bit if you want, because it's a big story, no matter if we like it or not. And to me, I'm honestly shocked we're at this point, because now both sides are losing. Reddick's not winning. The Jets aren't winning. And I honestly thought he'd show up today or tomorrow morning, because you start losing game checks, man, that changes the game. Like you're going to lose, $900,000 a game? Like that's wild. And it's like, what's the benefit at this point? Like to me, I told you last week, I would have showed up. I would have showed up today, hung out, like, I'm here. You can't find me, but I'm not practicing or I'm not going to play. But like, and it's just like, there's no communication. There's nothing going on. It's just wild. Like that we're here. Like what's the end game on this? He shows up the end of the training camp. Like, all right, I'm here now. I'll play, because he's already been fined a couple $1 million. Like there's no, like, to me, it's like at some point you're not going to recoup everything you get fined, right? Like you're going to be offsetting, like your fines are offset the money you could be getting, like guaranteed money. Like, do you understand it? Like, I just don't understand the situation anymore. It makes no sense now.
It doesn't really, make sense from either side, to be honest with you.
It doesn't.
From the Jets side, we've beaten this point to death. It's just, this move, like, I understand why people are laughing at the team. Like, oh, let's trade away a nice asset, a 2026, at worst case scenario, it's a third rounder in 2026 for a player that is fantastic, one of the best pass rushers in football, who is only getting traded because he wants a contract extension. Why would you trade for a guy like that if you don't plan on giving him an extension? There were a million different options out there, whether it be free agents, whether it be, the other pass rushers that were traded. It's just like, what are we doing? What is the plan? Is there any sort of insurance policy or backup plan at all? Any sort of foresight? And with this situation currently playing out like this, it says no. To me, it says no. It seems like the Jets expected Reddick to just show up and be happy with it. And it's just foolish, right? We've seen lack of foresight from Douglas before, with not signing a backup quarterback a year ago, not addressing offensive line. The bottom line is we have not been a 500 football team since he's taken over. That's crazy to me.
But this is
first round picks.
No, but I get it. But this is the one thing. It's just like, this is an all-in win now year where he's people want to discount Reddick, which I think is crazy. He's a very, very good player and takes his defense to a whole nother level. Like Will McDonald's flashing, which is great. We'll touch on it, but he's a very good pass rusher and makes this whole team better. So you want him in camp. You want to get this done. And now it's like one big glorified pissing contest. That's what it is. Who's going to be right? Who's going to be proven right? It's just like, get it done. Like, it's just like, it's just, there's no winning in this right now. And my fear is that once you go through these preseason games, I say about a Giant game, he's not about a Giant game, then you legitimately worry about what kind of shape he's in. Then you worry about the injuries and all this other stuff. And it's just like, to me, it's like, figure it out. Like, if they're not communicating now, bring them in and say, listen, how much guaranteed money do you want? What gets this done? We've got to find a middle ground. Or if not, you know what? Stay home. Like, we don't care anymore. Like what else do you do here? It's it's such a feel good training camp. Literally, like we've talked about all positive things this entire show so far, and there's that one little thing in the corner. It's just like, how is this happening? You inherited a guy with a contract problem. Everything he said in Philadelphia is the same thing you're saying here. He wants to be paid.
Well, it's funny because it's like the Jets didn't inherit that problem. They actually handpicked it and said, "We want this problem."
Right.
You know, because they traded, and also, you know, I've seen the argument like, "Oh, it's not a big deal because, you know, the Jets are viewing the draft pick so far into the future. It's a 2026 pick, and Douglas might not be here to make the draft pick if they don't do well." By that logic, let's just go trade all of our first round picks. Let's go get Brandon Ayuk. Let's go, you know, sign all these or trade for all these great players. Then, you know, if that's the mindset, and it's just not realistic because if that was the case, Douglas wouldn't be drafting developmental players, backups in the NFL draft. You know,
right.
He wouldn't be, you know, reaching or drafting a guy, Will McDonald, in the first round, a player that wasn't at the time a position of need, passing up on positions of need. He wouldn't be drafting Olu as a backup. You know, if the mindset was, all right, we just got to sell out for this season.
Right.
Douglas's approach is the same that it's been since he's taken over. You can kind of tell with his offseason moves. He's not swinging for the fences at these top tier free agents, just throwing cash, just begging for anybody to show up. He does like to bring in these second tier guys.
Yeah, but my question is this: with this contract uncertainty, is this hindering them from making other moves? Because you got to figure out how much cap space is Reddick going to cost them. Right now, do you know what that number is? Because you don't know. Because, like, is that hindering a Michael Carter second extension? Is that hindering another move? Or maybe you see a free agent you maybe want, Simmons or whoever else. Like, is this holding them back because of the uncertainty of like how much guaranteed money they have to give him? Like, is that a problem too or no?
Well, again, it goes to the lack of foresight because you would imagine, yeah, it is a problem, but why wasn't that question answered before the trade was made?
That's what pisses me off.
You know what I mean?
Yep. It's
like
a mess,
that.
dude.
That's a question that should naturally be asked. You know, if trying to think of an analogy here, but you know, it's like, all right, well, if you go, you know, buy whatever massive truck, like you may maybe question, okay, well, how much am I going to be spending on gas? You know, it's just like a following question that comes with a major decision. All right, well, if we're going to be trading for one of the best players, best pass rushers in the game who consistently performs, no matter the defensive scheme, no matter the players around him, no matter the team he's on, he always gets double-digit sacks. He always gets in the backfield. He's leaving for one reason or being traded for one reason. He wants the extension. Yep. So it blows my mind that, well, I mean, I guess I don't know this to be a fact, but if the Jets are sitting here right now thinking to themselves like, well, you know what, like we don't know how much Reddick wants, or we really don't know what his plan is, or, you know, does he want to sign? Does he not want to sign? Those questions should have been answered long before, at the very least 24 hours before the trade happened. Yep. So again, maybe we already have all those answers and it's just this weird waiting game. But, you know, as Sneakers points out here, it is counterintuitive because Reddick is losing so much money here. Yep. The Jets aren't budging, really. I think the only way the Jets budge is if, you know, McDonald or Johnson get hurt.
Well, that's the one thing I was going to mention to you, though. It's interesting that Will McDonald is really coming on right now. And I know the Jets are putting those highlights out there endlessly. Will McDonald looked explosive against the Commanders, right? So Reddick, they're like, hey, you know what? We got Will McDonald. We got Jermaine Johnson. If Reddick wants to hold out, we're cool. Like, they're going to show every Will McDonald highlight they can right now because that's their, like, you know, we got leverage now. We don't need you. You want to hold out? You hold out and sit there. We don't care. Maybe they're playing that game too, which, first of all, Will McDonald playing great is a sign you want. You want that big step year too. It's excellent news, but that's interesting too, man. It's funny how this all works out.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's interesting because it's like, how long is Reddick willing to hold out? You know, I think because it's gotten to this point, like you either have to fully commit to the holdout or you show up and you don't lose any money, right?
Show up tomorrow, man. Don't start the game checks, man. The game checks are big chunks of change, man. That's crazy to me. So
let's just say he shows up and he doesn't obviously play. He just shows up at the facility, right? It's just like, I'm here. I'm on a contract. You can't find him, right? Even if he's just in a hoodie on the sidelines.
He reported the facility. They're not going to play him. They can't, dude. He's got to pass a physical. He's got
yeah.
Like it's like Mike Williams coming off the PUP. It's going to be a slow work into there. He's got the same process, man. Same exact thing.
For sure. But so in other words, can Redick? It's just so interesting.
It's the same thing Ayuk is doing. Ayuk's not practicing, right?
Yeah, but well, that situation's maybe a bit different because the Niners didn't trade for Ayuk.
It's the same thing. You traded for him. He's under contract with the Jets. He's your player, so he shows up.
You know how Redick fits into the offense. This regime drafted Ayuk. I don't know if I said Ayuk or Redick before, but anyway, the point is the Niners know Ayuk and what he brings and what he does in that system. We have no idea. Redick has not worked with Saleh. Redick has not worked, rushing the passer next to Quinnen Williams and Kinlaw. He needs to get these reps. But what's interesting is I think if I was Redick, I would do what you were talking about a week or two ago, which is just show up and just, not really.
My back is tight. Really. Yep, my back is tight. My neck hurts. Not really feeling today, coach. But you're there, and then meet the media. Do that and meet the media, and then share your side of the story. Well, I'm here, but you know what? They knew my contract demands before they traded me, but they didn't give it to me. Because right now, all we hear is the Jet side. We don't hear any of the other side. We only hear the Jet side because they keep leaking all the stories. At some point, his story is going to come out.
But you kind of feel like with every passing day with the situation, it's just leading to the talks of an extension are just like it's almost like the two parties are just like souring on each other. Like Redick is just probably like F this team. Like why would this team trade for me and then not give me the extension? Because I'm not really buying the early reports of the Jets offered him a pay raise before the trade and Redick said no at like around the $24-25 million mark. I mean,
there's no way the story where they said he would be happy to play with the Jets under his current contract. There is no way in living hell that is true. We know it's not true. It's not. He wasn't willing to play in Philadelphia under the same contract. Why would he play for it here? So it's just, we don't have to play spend too much time on it, but it's just, if I'm him, I show up tomorrow morning. Here, coach, not going to play, but I'm here. Can't find me, but you can't play me either.
So how much does he get fined to miss a game? Like $700K or something?
Yeah, it's like 700 or 900. It's a lot, man.
It's a lot of money, dude. It's a lot of freaking money.
It's just insane.
But like where I'm just almost at a loss for words. I don't want to keep harping on the Redick situation, but it's like he's already lost so much money up to this point that, just showing up. Like if the plan is to show up, might as well just show up from the jump and just keep all this money. Because it's not like he could get that money back to him,
And that's the whole thing. That's why a lot of these fines you can't rescind. Like you have to get fined. That's now in his mind. It's like, all right, when I sign my contract, I want to offset these fines. You got to pay me even more, which is stupid. It's why it doesn't make any sense at this point. It's like, all right, he wants $24 million a year. The Jets say, you know what, we're going to give you 20, and you got $2 million in fines. Now you're getting 18. Like it just doesn't. At some point, it's just counterproductive. So we can move on to something else. It's stupid.
Yeah, Jet, dude. Bro, thanks a ton, man. That really means a lot. And I'm excited for the season. Tyson's excited for the season. I'm excited to be doing this podcast weekly. It's gonna be a blast. So I appreciate the 10, bro. And then E Boogie, what's up, dude? Thank you so much for the 2. Would you guys rather get Davante Adams or Brandon Ayuk? I'd probably say Davante Adams because Ayuk, he's gonna have to. Ayuk is going to get a top contract. He's not signing like a cheap $18 million a year deal. Like it's just not going to happen. Davante is getting paid a ton, but Davante knows the OC. Davante knows Rodgers. Now I'm not going to sit here and complain if we go get Brandon Ayuk, but
it doesn't make any. It doesn't. It's not to be disrespectful. It doesn't really make much sense though where the Jets are at right now. Davante Adams has his contract. You're basically inheriting a player. The Jets just did this. You're trading for a player that wants a whole new contract. Meanwhile, you have to give him enormous money. You got Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, all these guys right down the line have to all get paid too. So it's like only so much money can go around. I just don't. You can't give him because Ayuk wants probably a 5-year deal. He wants a monster deal, man. I don't think right now he could be the better player, younger, all this stuff. It's just not. It's not in the cards for the Jets right now with him. It's just financially, it can't work for him.
Ayuk is going to get 4 years, 100+.
Yep. And you got Garrett Wilson sitting there chomping at the bit to get paid. You just.
And another thing too, it's like I know people keep talking about the dead money for the Jets. A lot of it, is coming off the books next season. But we have dude, we have so many players in contract years, whether it's Conklin or Michael Carter or DJ Reed or
Morgan
dude,
Moses,
goes on. Yeah, Morgan Moses,
Mike Williams. There's a lot of
yep,
them, dude.
Yep. Chuck Clark, dude. I think Jamie Sherwood, this is his contract year as well.
I think there's like 17 or 18 players that are on the last year, like a 1-year deal, an expiring contract or something like that.
And a good amount of them are starters too.
Yep, quality
Davis, yeah, like, and might as well throw Reddick in there as well. So like, dude, there's a lot of expiring deals. So let's just say the Jets bring back half of them. The 70-something million projected that we're supposed to have next season for cap space, that's going to shoot down really, really quickly, assuming these players work out. Because if Mike Williams if he goes out and gets 1,200 receiving yards and 10 TDs, and we just let him walk, that's going to be a little concerning, I guess, dependent on.
And I think that's the one thing we don't really talk about enough is like we're all chasing like Davante Adams or mentioned Davante Adams. Like Mike Williams could fill a lot of holes for us. Like Garrett Wilson needs his tag team partner. He needs that complimentary guy next to him. Where Lazard playing well in training camp is excellent news. He's still inconsistent. He's going to have the big drops. That's what he did in Green Bay as well. But him playing well is good. You have Corley, you have all these different players, but Mike Williams is a very good player when healthy, man. Now that's the big if when healthy, but like there could be a time like we're talking about the trade deadline. Oh, we got to get this, we got to get that. The trade deadline, Mike Williams is having a monster year. Like, you know what? Do we really need Davante Adams or do we need another offensive lineman or do we need a safety? Like, it's not that you never know what he could bring to the table for us this year.
Yeah, dude, 100%. And who's to say that Malachi Corley won't pop onto the scene? If all of a sudden Malachi Corley is a top 15 slot guy in football, are we really pressed to go out and get another weapon? You know what I mean? So, and also too, supposedly Gibson has looked great in camp. He's, obviously the Jets were high on him last season, continuing to give him opportunities as the starter. So, despite him having that small injury setback, but dude, gosh, like this team, again, I don't want to keep saying this statement, but if they stay healthy, we will be really, really good. Now, I do have my questions about Hackett and the staff and Saleh's leadership and stuff, but it does feel a little different this go round as far as maybe the responsibility, the accountability so far. You commit a false start, you're getting pulled in practice. You fumble the ball, you're getting pulled. Stuff like that, which it also kind of seems like guys are having to work for their jobs, not necessarily on defense so much, maybe outside of Will McDonald and Clemens, but they're not just handing out jobs, which is something that they did in the past.
Yeah, and that's why like games like tomorrow are huge for Brownlee. You hear a lot of big things about Brownlee, Irv Charles, Gibson, but at some point they got to show it because their NFL resume doesn't feature 100 catches or 200 catches or 300 catches. They've got to establish themselves. Same thing with Rucker. Like you got to literally prove that you're a consistent pass catcher, good route runner in a game against other people. And the time starts tomorrow for all these guys. Like I'm curious to see how much they play. Even Corley, get his feet wet, get him involved. Like, let's go.
Unban McMoney.
I don't know. I don't even know how to ban people.
Well, you did it somehow.
No, maybe too many cocktails that night. I don't know.
By the way, are you going to be streaming the game or nah?
Nah, dude. You know what? What's weird? Tomorrow's game time is strange.
I like it, dude.
Why you would 12? You know why? Because you're in Florida. 12 o'clock on a Saturday in the summer at the Jersey Shore. The last thing I want to do is sit and watch football. I want to go out and enjoy myself. This time is strange, dude. It's be like 7 o'clock at night. So after your day drinking, you can hang out and relax, enjoy the game. You don't think noon is weird?
Dude, I like it because I feel like every preseason game for the Jets, it's like 7:30 on a Friday night.
That's perfect.
I don't know, man. I mean, I guess
we'll be watching it right now, man. We could be drinking beer right now watching it.
Dude, well, we don't really have seasons down here in Florida, so it really I really don't get phased by like the daytime games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 12 o'clock on a Saturday in August. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. But it's looking forward to it, but it's still a weird time, man.
I mean, bro, it's gonna be summer here until maybe January. So like that's gonna be when it starts to cool down a little bit. So again, bro, like I could go to the beach any day, but so I'm not really too
you bastard.
No,
there's a really good question in there about the kickoff changes. Have you seen the new kickoff yet? I think it's from Mercy Fate.
Let me see. I'm trying to find it.
Do you see the kickoff changes being a positive for the team? It's an interesting. The new kickoff looks absurd to me, man. I don't I just think
Here.
what do you think about the new kick? I don't like it. It's just maybe because it's like it's changed. It always looks weird and you got to get used to it, but it just looks like it's XFL kind of stuff or just I don't know. I don't necessarily like it, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not when it comes to the NFL, I'm not a big change guy. You know, I like to, you know, I don't want to fix what isn't broken. And I think, you know, the kickoff rules obviously been, you know, attacked for such a long time. And you know, I understand limiting injuries and whatnot. But it's not like there's not going to be contact here.
Yep.
You know, with this style, you can maybe argue there could be maybe more contact.
Yep.
In this style, and granted, they're not, you know, running necessarily full speed at each other, you know, from one end of the field to the other. But dude, games will be decided by this.
100%.
Like there will be a game in which, you know, a team goes down the field, has this crazy 2-minute drive, they have it in the bag, and then boom, they get a kickoff return. You know, the other team gets a kickoff return and wins the game, and like completely the momentum is flipped. Yeah. Or you can go out and lose a game like that. You know, you have the win in the bag, and you screw up on special teams on this kickoff rule. You know, you miss a tackle, or that kick returner just breaks through that line. Yeah. You know, or puts a move on somebody, or you know, goes to square up that one person, that guy slips or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you're looking at a touchdown. I think there's going to be massive implications because of this rule. But, you know, as far as it being a positive, I don't want to say it could be I think the Jets have the personnel to do it, but I think the normal kickoff and punt rules benefited the Jets last season. I mean, obviously we beat Buffalo.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have a lot of faith in Boyer. Boyer is an excellent special teams coach, and the Jets got a tremendous amount of athletes, man. Like we talked about their depth, the explosive running backs, the receivers, all this. I think having excellent returners and an excellent coach can give some things where it's like, you know, you feel like you can benefit from it. So I think it's a positive. I don't like it, but I think the Jets can do well with it, and you have faith in them because like the last couple of years, the defense and special teams have carried the Jets. So. Come on, man. Jake, I've been positive for 45 minutes. Come on.
Living in Maine right now, it's cold, 6 months long. That's crazy, dude. Like, I mean, I was actually just up in New York, and I remember there was one day specifically where I needed a hoodie. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of cold, man. It's creeping down in the 60s. It was pouring rain, but yeah, dude. I mean, like I said, bro, like I'm really excited for the off-season. Well, not necessarily off-season, but the pre-season, right? These games, these joint practices, I think they're going to be huge. But you know, ultimately, it just comes down, for me at least, injuries. Stay healthy. No. I don't want to be getting these reports with, you know, in the past, like Becton and Carl Lawson and, you know, guys getting ruled out for the season. I don't want to see any of that stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, unfortunately, injuries happen in the NFL. You see it every day. You go on X or Twitter, and you're like, oh my God, this guy's out for the year. Now, this is a interesting question for Will McDonald, where you love what you see right now. He looks explosive. He's doing a lot of great things. How much do you play him in a preseason game? Do you give him extensive playing time to say, okay, listen, we expect a lot out of you here. Let's see what you can do. Does he play a half? Does he play a quarter and a half? Like, how much do you play him tomorrow?
I would play him a ton, actually. I would play Olu a ton because, like, you know, again, at some point, like, what are you going to do? Play the entire game with just the third stringers? Like, I can understand. All right, you know what? We want to give Tyron Smith 1 or 2 drives, yep, and then we'll get him out of here. But I don't want to have that same approach with our backup, who is a rookie who needs professional reps. And same thing with Will McDonald. I know he's not a rookie, but according to the Jets' unofficial depth chart, you know, he's a backup without Reddick on the team.
Yep.
So, you know, are we in this weird position where it's like, okay, Reddick's not here. Jermaine is not going to play a lot. Clemens isn't going to play a lot because he's like the on-paper starter.
Yes, yeah.
Will McDonald isn't going to be playing a lot. So are we going to roll out there for 3.5 quarters of just McGregor and
you can't see. And I have a theory with that. Having Clemens ahead of McDonald is interesting. It could be a motivating factor for both. Giving Clemens his chance to shine and motivate McDonald, like, all right, you got to be ahead of him. Like, you've got to work to get past him. But I would use McDonald like the Jets always used Huff. Like, they use Bryce Huff in the weirdest spots in the preseason. Like, you see him in the fourth quarter rushing the passer. Like, what in the hell is he doing out there, right? You were like, why is he out there? I think they could do the same thing with Will McDonald. Like, you know what? We want to see you work on your pass rush skills throughout this entire game. You don't have to play every series, but keep playing every quarter. Bring him in. Like, give him those reps, man. I don't think it can't hurt him, right? Like, a lot of these guys you can do that with. Like you said, they're backups, and I'm not discounting backups, but Michael Clemens has a lot to prove too. Like, this is a big year for him. Everybody's like, oh, you're too hard on him. Okay, what has he proven so far? Not a lot. So you're getting a chance with Reddick out to show what you can do. Give him plenty of reps to prove it, right? You can't. This is the time to show these things.
For sure, man. And Sean, where in Maine are you? I really, really want to check out Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, really that whole New England area.
It's beautiful in the fall, man. Go in the fall. It's gorgeous up there.
Yeah, that's the plan. Probably not this season or this year. I mean, dude, I'm always, bro, ever since I was a little kid, I would always say like, oh yeah, this season coming up or that season. I'm always in my head, just always referencing football seasons. But yeah, I really want to check out Maine. But Jake says, just joking around. Who do you guys think? Okay, yeah. So who do you think will have more sacks, Clemens or McDonald? Dude, I think McDonald, man.
McDonald, yeah. I mean, what's a fair expectation for Clemens? Like, how many sacks do you think for Clemens? 4
for Clemens. I would probably say 3.5, 4.
And McDonald,
I guess
like
that number would go up if Reddick doesn't show up. But if Reddick is there.
But could you see a situation where they have Clemens on first and second down? He comes out in the passing downs when Will McDonald comes in. Do you think Clemens will get those true pass rushing opportunities though?
Well, I mean, he probably would have to if Reddick isn't there. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Because then why would you put him first on the unofficial depth chart? Why would he be continuously starting every single
motivation, my friend? They're shaking things up, just like Becton was second string last year, all training camp to the last week. They're trying to.
But dude, then you roll out on week 1, just say, nope, we're just going to pull the rug right out underneath you. Will McDonald's actually going to be getting all the snaps or the pass rushing snaps.
Sal is a madman. You never know, man. He's a motivational guy.
Allison. Thank you. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I thought it was rumors and facts, but it is true. Why did they bring Zach back? He was with the Broncos, and they had young ones behind Aaron. If they didn't want him there, that was better things. OBJ, just like the Packers, younger. So, yeah, I don't know if you're talking about Zach Wilson. But yeah, Zach is still on the Broncos. I think I don't want to assume here, but I would guess. So I think there was what? Wait, what?
He's third string in the Broncos.
Well, I was actually reading today that there was a rumor that the Broncos might just carry 2 quarterbacks because Sean Payton wants to roll with 9 offensive or have an extra offensive tackle. So they would essentially just slice a quarterback off the bottom of the depth chart, the one who doesn't win the backup job. And obviously it's not going to be Bo Nix because he was just drafted. So it's either Stidham or Zach, whoever, And I mean, I guess preseason's big for both of these guys too, but
can't you keep like the emergency quarterback? Isn't there a new rule? You can keep an emergency quarterback on the roster or something like that?
I don't know. Like I said, I was just reading it today. I didn't really dive like head first into it. I think it just popped up on Twitter. But
how are we having a Zach Wilson conversation right now? I'm gonna melt.
and so some of the comments were, what if Zach just re-signs with the Jets?
Oh, please, it's got to go away.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Ship is sailed.
But yeah, nah, I think Zach is probably, him personally, he's moved on from the Jets. And honestly, man, like I'm pulling for him. I don't know about you, but yeah, I hope you're in the spot with Denver.
I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for Sam Darnold. Like Sam Darnold's got a great opportunity with the Vikings. Like I'm rooting for him, just except against us, But like, and it's just like I think the Jets moved on from Zach. Zach moved on from them. That ship has sailed, man. That's long gone. Oh, yeah, she followed it up. She's explaining it now. Next one.
Yeah, but Allison, I appreciate it. Okay, so. I appreciate the 20. Man, I like I said, I'm almost at a loss for words. I can't thank you enough. My gosh, I was saying just like the Packers, they go younger, faster with the Jets. Or with the Jets, would you want to be opinion be slower? It just holds the bed. Just like the Packers, they go younger. So are you saying like you want the Jets to be younger, right? Build through the draft and acquire younger.
And they have Jordan Travis. That's
Yeah,
younger.
yeah, but I mean, I guess you can maybe argue that the Jets are one of the oldest teams in football compared to Green Bay.
Bro, they're 26 years old. With the average age is like what, 26 or 27? What the hell's the number? It's not there. Like this, listen, you want to have a young roster. The Jets have superstars that are all young on the team, minus Aaron Rodgers. Even Quincy Williams. These guys are all in their prime. Like you're in the right spot. In terms of a backup quarterback, I want a Tyrod Taylor. You want a veteran guy, been there, done that. If Rodgers goes out for 1 or 2 games, he can step in and play at a high level, and you're back on your track of winning, stuff like that. So first of all, Allison, thank you, but you want to be younger in certain spots with the backup quarterback. I'm completely cool where they are right now. And Zach can just stay in Denver and have fun and do things.
Well, yeah, I mean, another thing too, like she brought up Green Bay. Green Bay is not only just young at the quarterback position, but they're I think the youngest team in football.
Yep.
Which is crazy because they had a playoff win last season.
Yep.
Maybe it's a little bit different this go around because I know they added like Josh Jacobs and they made a couple moves, but last season, man, they had the youngest roster in football.
Yeah, and it also gets skewed when you have Tyron Smith and Aaron Rodgers. That kind of skews things as well. You take a couple players out, and I'm sure your average goes down, dramatically.
Yeah, 100%, Mercy. Allison, I appreciate it. I always see your comments. I know you always pop into these to the podcast whenever we do them, whether it's on a Friday, whether it's on a Tuesday. And seriously, honestly, like heart of hearts, thank you so much. Like it truly does mean the world. But yeah, Yo Holmes, quarterback room is a combined. Actually, no, the 2 starters are 75 years old.
Yep.
So not even including like Peasley and Jordan Travis, which is nuts to think about. Allen is the youngest.
Braylon Allen.
Yeah, Allison. Yeah. So I actually read something the other day. Is Braylon Allen the youngest player in football?
He's not even 21 yet, is he? Is he still 20?
Dude, that's insane to think about. Like being 20 years old and you're like high round NFL pick. That's
check out Afram's comment. This is what I was thinking about here.
Check out
Afram, the emergency quarterback rule. That's what I was thinking about. The emergency quarterback rule allows the third quarterback to play only if the first 2 quarterbacks are unavailable due to injury or ejection. I thought you're allowed to keep like a quarterback on the roster, like as like an emergency situation, doesn't count against your 53. Maybe I read that wrong. I don't know. These rules are weird.
Yeah, it's weird. I know Sean Payton likes to do things a little bit differently. Bit of an old school coach, but and like I said, who knows? Maybe they do keep 3. But from what I was hearing today, or I guess maybe reading today, there's a chance that Denver just keeps the 2, and they want to keep an extra offensive tackle on the 53. And Allison, okay, basically what you were saying, that's what I was just talking about. Gotcha. Yeah, no, it was a good point. I really, really appreciate the super chats. Thank you. Rodgers is the oldest. Allen is the youngest. I don't think Rodgers is the oldest player in football, is he?
He's probably the oldest quarterback, right? He's got to be.
I'm trying to think. Jason Peter, he retired. I'm not sure, man. I don't know who the oldest player. It doesn't have to active on your active 46 on game day only.
Yeah, that's what it was. There's that rule they have because a lot of quarterbacks are getting banged up. You need to have that insurance policy, but teams are only carrying 2 because they like the same situation in Denver. But they're giving you a way around that, having that third quarterback.
Yeah, dude. But dude, I think we covered everything, man.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Our first game tomorrow. First of all, thank everybody for joining us on a random Friday night. We usually do on Tuesdays.
Next week we'll be back on Tuesday.
Yeah, and it's exciting times, man. Like I'm legitimately like the Jets have a lot of talent. So a lot of young players going to play tomorrow. Like the first quarter is exciting, and then it kind of tails off. But I like seeing the young guys competing, see what they bring to the table, just their explosion to physicality. You want to see good football, so it's going to be interesting.
100%. Rodgers is the oldest. Damn, that's crazy. That's insane to think about, right? Well, sweet. I appreciate everybody. Like Tyson said, jumping in, hanging out on a Friday night. Again, we'll be back on Tuesday. I'm sure we'll both have our recap videos up pretty quickly after tomorrow's game.
100%.
Should be around like 4:30 or 5 or something around that time. But yeah, thanks so much for everybody tuning in, hanging out. Appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.